You know the snow will slowly melt, but my love will never die.
Lena Sardarkil missing since December 20, 2021. Missing from San Antonio, Texas. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female. Race: Asian. Date of birth: February 20, 2018. 5. Age: 3 years old. Height and weight: 4 feet 0 inches, 55 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a red long-sleeved dress, a black jacket, black shoes, blue and gold tone plastic bangle bracelets, gold earrings, and a toys, an amulet with verses from the Quran around her neck. Photos of Lena in the clothes and jewelry she wore on the day she went missing, and a photo of the toys, are posted with this case summary. Distinguishing characteristics: Asian female. Brown hair, brown eyes. Lena's ears are pierced. She was born in Afghanistan and speaks Pashto. Lena was last seen playing at the playground at her apartment complex in the 9400 block of Fredericksburg Road in San Antonio, Texas, on December 20, 2021. She was at the playground with her mother and younger brother between 4:30 and 5:10 p.m. when her mother left for a short time, and when she returned, Lena was gone. The child has never been heard from again. Lena and her family are refugees from Afghanistan. They arrived in the United States in 2019. She lived in the Villas del Cabo apartment complex with her parents and brother, and her mother was pregnant with another boy. Many refugees lived in the neighborhood, and Lena's parents initially thought a refugee family was taking care of Lena and would return her. After they realized Lena was missing, her parents went door to door in the apartment complex, asking if anyone had seen her. They also reached out to San Antonio's Afghan community. When they were unable to locate her by 7:15 p.m., they called the police. The family has cooperated with the police and are not considered suspects in her case. Although little evidence is available in her case, the circumstances of Lena's disappearance suggest she was abducted by a non-family member. Her case remains unsolved. San Antonio Police Department 210-207-7273. Dulce Maria Alave missing since September 16, 2019. Missing from Bridgeton, New Jersey. Classification: non-family. Abduction. Sex: female. Race: Hispanic. Date of birth: April 25, 2014. 9. Age: 5 years old. Height and weight: 3 feet 5 inches, 60-70 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a yellow t-shirt with a stylized image of an elephant in white on the front, black and white checked pants with a pattern of flowers, and white sandals. A photo of Dulce on the day of her disappearance, and a photo of the shirt is posted with this case summary. Many reports incorrectly state the image of on the shirt was a koala bear rather than an elephant. Distinguishing characteristics: Hispanic female. Black hair, brown eyes. Dulce was last seen at the Bridgeton City Park behind Bridgeton High School on Burt Street, off Babe Ruth Drive, in Bridgeton, New Jersey on September 16, 2019. Her mother, Noema Alave Perez, had gone to the park with Dulce, Dulce's 3-year-old brother Manuel, and Noema's 8-year-old sister. They arrived shortly after 4 p.m., stopping first for ice cream. A photo of Noema is posted with this case summary. Noema and her sister remained in the car while Dulce and Manuel played on the playground about 30 yards away. Noema was checking a scratch-off lottery ticket and about to help her sister with the child's homework when Manuel ran up to the car, crying. This was at approximately 4:20 p.m. His ice cream was lying on the ground, and when she asked him where Dulce he was, he pointed at the spot where he last saw her. He said she'd run towards some red maintenance sheds adjacent to the playground. Dulce has never been heard from again. The coconut water ice she had with her was also missing. After a search of the surrounding area, Noema called the police at 4:51 p.m. After interviewing witnesses at the park, police got a description of a suspect in Dulce's disappearance. He is described as a light-skinned man, possibly Hispanic, about 5 feet 6 inches to 5 feet 8 inches tall with a thin build. He had acne on his chin. He was wearing a black shirt, red pants, and orange sneakers, possibly Nike brand. He put Dulce into a red van with a sliding door and tinted windows and left the park with her. Authorities have released a sketch of another man, whom they identified as a possible witness in Dulce's case rather than a suspect or person of interest. He was Hispanic, 30 to 35 years old, and 5 feet 7 inches with a slender build. He had a goatee and some pimples or moles on his chin. He wore a white t-shirt, blue jeans and a white baseball cap. The sketch is posted with this case summary. At the time of Dulce's disappearance, she and Manuel lived with her maternal grandparents. Noema, who was pregnant, lived in a room at a residence nearby. She was only 14 years old when Dulce was born, and shared joint custody of her and Manuel with her parents. Dulce's father was in Sinaloa, Mexico at the time of her disappearance. He hadn't been part of her life since he had moved to Mexico when she was 3. Neither her father, her mother, nor any other members of Dulce's family have been named as suspects in her case. Authorities believe Dulce may have been abducted by an opportunistic predator at the park. She had just kindergarten at Buckshootum Road Elementary School about a week prior to her disappearance. Her case remains unsolved. Bridgeton Police Department 856-451-0033 Federal Bureau of Investigation 800-225-5324. Jackie Dean Hay missing since September 12, 1981 missing from Topeka, Kansas classification non-family abduction sex female race white date of birth February 17, 1976, 47, age 5 years old height and weight 3 feet 6 inches, 45 pounds clothing/jewelry description blue pants and a white knit shirt with orange and lavender flowers. Distinguishing characteristics Caucasian female. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Jackie has freckles across the bridge of her nose and one small freckle between her right thigh and pelvis. She had a small cavity between her upper front teeth at the time of her 1981 disappearance. She has a small scar along her right eyebrow, and her hair was cut in a Dutch boy style at the time of her disappearance. Jackie disappeared after going out to play with her step-siblings and other children in the front yard of their home in the 3100 block of Southeast Colfax in Topeka, Kansas. Eventually all the other children went inside, leaving her alone. Her family was getting ready to go to a house they were building south of Topeka when they discovered she was missing, at about 4 p.m. on September 12, 1981. She was last seen walking away from the Colfax and Golf Park, near Southeast 31st and Bryant. About 1 block east of her home. She was apparently being followed by a man at the time. She has never been heard from again. Authorities did not begin searching for Jackie for 4 hours after her disappearance was reported. Police picked up a local man that same night, who matched the description of the man seen following Jackie. They questioned him for hours about her disappearance, but ultimately released him without charge. Jackie lived with her parents and 4 older step-siblings at the time of her disappearance. She had just started kindergarten at Avondale East Elementary School a few days earlier, and was considered a bright child with a large vocabulary for her age. Her mother died in 2007, but her father is still alive. Authorities believe she was most likely abducted. But few clues available in her case. Topeka Police Department 785-368-9551. Amanda Nicole Eileen Campbell missing since December 27, 1991 missing from Fairfield, California classification non-family abduction sex female race white date of birth May 7, 1987, 36, age 4 years old height and weight 3 feet 5 inches, 59 pounds clothing/jewelry description a pink nylon jacket with the sleeves too short, purple corduroy pants, a dark purple short-sleeved shirt, white sneakers with pink trim, and Santa Claus earrings. Associated vehicle, bicycle, accounted for. Distinguishing characteristics Caucasian female. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Amanda's nickname is Nikki. She has facial dimple and light brown moles on her forehead and near her nose, and her ears are pierced. She occasionally develops a rash around her mouth. Amanda was last seen near her family's residence in Fairfield, California. On December 27, 1991. She had been at a friend's house 4 doors down from her home when left her brother and a friend between 4:30 and 5 p.m. to ride her bicycle to another friend's house around the corner, 8 doors from home. Amanda never arrived and has not been seen again. Her bicycle was found abandoned a few blocks from her home later that evening. An extensive search of the area failed to locate Amanda. A pair of child-sized blue socks were located in the street, however, it is unknown if they belonged to Amanda. A photograph of the street corner where Amanda disappeared is posted with this case summary, as is a photo of her bicycle. Dogs tracked her scent from Larchmont Drive to Oliver Road, to the drive-thru at a nearby McDonald's restaurant, then east on Travis Boulevard to the westbound Interstate 80 on-ramp. Authorities believe she was pulled into a vehicle, probably at Larchmont Drive and Salisbury Drive. One possible suspect named in Amanda's disappearance is Timothy Bindner, who was also investigated for possible connection to the disappearance of Eileen Mishloff. He was never charged in any of the case, maintains his innocence and successfully sued Amanda's hometown of Fairfield in 1997 for defamation of character. For many years Bindner was also considered a suspect in the 1988 disappearances of Amber Swartz Garcia from Pinole, California and Michaela Gerecht from Fremont, California. Bindner approached many of the mothers of missing girls from the East Bay area offering his assistance, including Amber and Michaela's families. Investigators asked Amber's mother to maintain a quasi-friendship with Bindner in hope of learning if he was connected to any of the girls' cases. She and authorities agreed that Bindner appeared to playing mind games with victims' loved ones and law enforcement. He has been ruled out in Michaela's case, and in 2020, David Misk was charged with her kidnapping and murder. Misk is a suspected serial killer. He is awaiting trial in Michaela's case and in the 1986 double murder of two women. Curtis Dean Anderson, who was convicted of the 2000 kidnapping and molestation of a young California girl, was also mentioned as a possible suspect in Amanda's case. Investigators searched Anderson's mother's residence in June 2001 for evidence linking him to other missing girls' cases, but nothing was located. In 2009, however, police said they believed Anderson was responsible for Amber Swartz Garcia's disappearance. He had confessed to Amber's murder a month before he died in prison in 2007. Police spent 18 months investigating his statement and couldn't find any evidence to refute it, and they said they were ending the searching for her. Many remain skeptical of Anderson's claims, however, and Amber's body was never found. In 2013, after an online petition campaign, the Pinole Police Department reopened the investigation into her disappearance. In August 2023, 83-year-old former pastor David Zanstra was named a possible suspect in Amanda's case after he was arrested for the 1975 murder of an 8-year-old girl in Philadelphia, and confessed to the crime. He was a pastor at the Fairfield Christian Reformed Church between 1990 and 2005, and lived just a few minutes away from Amanda's home. In December 2023, authorities announced they had cleared him of involvement in Amanda's case. Amanda has never been located and no one has been charged in her disappearance. Foul play is suspected in her case due to the circumstances involved. Fairfield Police Department 707-428-7355. Sabrina Paige Eisenberg missing since November 24, 1997. Missing from Valrico, Florida. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female. Race: white. Date of birth: June 27, 1997. 26. Age: 4 months old. Height and weight: 2 feet 6 inches, 20 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a lavender sleeper with a floral pattern. Distinguishing characteristics: Caucasian female. Brown hair, blue eyes. Sabrina has several marks in the shape of the letter Y below her right shoulder. Her last name is pronounced Eisenberg. Sabrina disappeared from her family's residence in Valrico, Florida between 12 a.m. and 6:42 a.m. on November 24, 1997. Her mother, Marlene Eisenberg, told authorities that she checked on Sabrina at approximately 12 a.m. and the infant was asleep in her crib. She stated that when she returned to her daughter's room at 6:42 a.m., Sabrina had disappeared. A handmade blue and yellow blanket with imprinted animal images and yellow piping was also missing from her crib. A photo of the blanket is posted with this case summary. Sabrina has never been seen again. The garage door and one of the doors to the Eisenbergs' residence had been unlocked during the morning of Sabrina's disappearance. Investigators found an unidentified blonde hair and a shoe print near the baby's crib, as well as 7 unidentified fingerprints inside the house. Neighbors told authorities there had been several incidents involving possible attempted break-ins in the area in homes with small children. One of the Eisenbergs' neighbors reported that his dog barked at approximately 1 a.m. on the morning Sabrina vanished. After letting the dog outside, the man believed he heard a baby crying somewhere in the distance. He stated that none of his closest neighbors had small children at the time. It is not known if the cries the witness thought he overheard were from Sabrina. Sabrina's parents say she strongly resembled her older sister Monica at the time she disappeared. A photograph of Monica at age 4 is posted with this case summary: Sabrina may still look like her. Sabrina's hair was brown at the time of her disappearance but may have lightened to blonde as she grew older. Authorities questioned why no one inside the Eisenberg residence awoke if an intruder indeed abducted Sabrina. The family owned a dog and they stated the pet never barked during the night Sabrina disappeared. Investigators suspected Marlene and her husband, Steve, were connected to their daughter's case. Photos of both the child's parents are posted with this case summary. Authorities obtained permission to place listening devices inside the family's home 3 weeks after Sabrina disappeared. According to the police transcripts of the Eisenbergs' conversations, Marlene and Steve both said that Sabrina was dead during the tapings. Sabrina's parents were indicted on conspiracy and additional charges in September 1999, nearly 2 years after their daughter vanished. In February 2001, a judge found that investigators lied when seeking permission to place the wiretaps in the Eisenbergs' residence. Steve and Marlene were cleared of all charges against them. The judge also stated that there was nothing on the tapes which contained the evidence mentioned in the transcripts of the Eisenbergs' conversations. The lead prosecutor in the Eisenbergs' case was demoted in July 2001. Steve and Marlene's attorneys filed motions seeking for the government to repay their clients' legal fees in August 2001, given that the charges had been dropped. They received $2.70 to $2.9 million in damages. The amount was later reduced to $1.30 to $1.5 million. Steve and Marlene sued again, seeking further damages and accusing their prosecutors of conspiring to deprive them of their civil rights, fabricating evidence, and lying about it. In 2004, a judge dismissed this suit, saying the law gives prosecutors an immunity from such lawsuits about their official actions. A similar lawsuit against the sheriff's office was, in 2006, dropped by the Eisenbergs, as they decided it was materially impeding the investigation into their daughter's disappearance. Steve, Marlene, and their attorney met with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office detectives in August 2005 to discuss Sabrina's case. Sabrina's parents were subjected to extensive questioning, and they took polygraph tests given by their lawyer and the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office has not released the results of the tests, but Steve and Marlene claim they both passed. They have not been ruled out as suspects in Sabrina's disappearance, but have cooperated with the police as authorities began the investigation anew. In April 2003, the possibility was raised that Sabrina may be Paloma Unknown, an infant who was abandoned in May of 1998. A photograph of the child at age 2 is posted with this case summary. Paloma, as an infant, was taken across the Mexican border into Texas by a teenage female claiming to be her mother. The teenager gave Paloma to Molly Garza, a Spanish woman who may have been working in the textile industry. Garza was being deported to Spain and could not take the child, so she gave Paloma to a friend who was a registered nurse at a migrant clinic. Garza signed her name allowing the nurse to give Paloma up for adoption. Such off-the-book adoptions are not uncommon around the Mexican border. The nurse gave Paloma to her sister, who raised her with her husband in Pontiac, Illinois. They tried to adopt her, but without a birth certificate or any information on Paloma's background they were not allowed to. Instead they were appointed as her guardians. Several agencies have tried to determine information on Paloma's parentage but come up with nothing. A woman in Michigan saw Sabrina's missing child poster in the spring of 2003 and noticed the resemblance between Paloma and the missing baby's pictures. She called Sabrina's parents, who agreed that Paloma did resemble their daughter. A DNA sample was collected from Paloma and compared to a sample police had of Sabrina's. It did not match. Paloma remains unidentified. Steve and Marlene moved to Maryland with their 2 older children after Sabrina's disappearance. They continue to maintain their innocence in Sabrina's disappearance and stated they believe that their daughter is alive and living with another family somewhere in the United States. Many investigators still think Sabrina was the victim of foul play. Her case remains unsolved. Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office 813-247-8200. Brittany Ann Beers missing since September 16, 1997. Missing from Sturgis, Michigan. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female. Race: white. Date of birth: August 1, 1991. 32. Age: 6 years old. Height and weight: 4 feet 0 inches, 45 pounds clothing/jewelry description: a white tank top or t-shirt with a floral design, pink tie-dyed shorts and white sneakers with a pink design on the sides. Her shoelaces had a red stripe down the center. Associated vehicle: S. Mid-sized red car or a brown Renault. Distinguishing characteristics: Caucasian female. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Britney was missing her 4 upper baby teeth at the time of her 1997 disappearance. She often wore her hair pulled back into a ponytail. Britney was playing outside of her family's residence at Village Manor Apartments during the evening hours of September 16, 1997. She went outside to ride her bicycle at approximately 7:30 p.m. Britney's mother, Tina Stetler, left to run errands at approximately 8:30 p.m. and saw her daughter riding her bicycle around the neighborhood at that time. Britney's half-brother told authorities he saw his sister sitting on a bench about 5 minutes after their mother departed. A witness told investigators that he saw Britney speaking to an unidentified male driving a red or brown midsize vehicle shortly thereafter. Britney walked over to the witness and told him that she made a new friend. Britney has never been seen again. Stetler returned home at approximately 9:05 p.m. and asked Britney's brother to find her. The authorities were summoned when the child could not be located near the apartment complex, which is located on US 12, the major thoroughfare through Sturgis. Britney's bicycle was discovered abandoned shortly after she was last seen. Sketches of the unidentified man seen speaking to Britney were distributed through the area in the days following her disappearance. One of the sketches is posted with this case summary. It is not known if the man is connected to her case. He was in his late 20s or early 30s with short dark hair and a thick mustache and was driving either a mid-sized red car or a brown Renault. Police are still looking for the man. He is not being called a suspect, but a witness whom they would like to question. Michigan courts removed Britney's older brother and younger sister from the family's home in 1998 after allegations of child physical and sexual abuse and neglect were issued. Britney's father, Raymond Beers, his brother, James Beers, and Kevin Folsom, the father of one of her half-brothers, were allegedly involved in the abuse of the children. Folsom was imprisoned for molesting Britney, but he was released in 2008. Britney's case received more publicity in 2000 after the arrest of a St. Clair Shores, Michigan man who had images of child sexual abuse saved on his computer. One of the victims resembled Britney, but was later determined not to be the missing girl. In 2015, police named Daniel Furlong as a person of interest in Britney's abduction. He abducted, sexually assaulted and strangled an 11-year-old girl, Jodi Perak, in 2007. The murder was not solved until 2015, after Furlong abducted a 10-year-old girl who subsequently escaped from him. After he became a suspect in the child's abduction, he provided a DNA sample which linked him to Jodi's murder. He subsequently confessed to the murder, pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life in prison. He stated he'd picked Jodi at random and that he'd intended to kill the 10-year-old he kidnapped. Furlong bears a striking resemblance to the sketch of the man seen with Britney prior to her disappearance. His known crimes were similar to Britney's disappearance, and Jodi closely resembled her. He has maintained his innocence in her case, but remains one of the few persons of interest. A photo of Furlong is posted with this case summary. Britney's case remains open and unsolved. Sturgis Police Department 269-651-3231. Amber Renee Barker missing since December 18, 1997. Missing from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female. Race: white. Date of birth: October 14, 1987. 36, age 10 years old. Height and weight: 4 feet 11 inches, 5 feet 0 inches. 70 to 80 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a long-sleeved beige shirt with a brown collar, light blue or black jeans and no excuses sneakers. Associated vehicle: S. Blue 10-speed bicycle, accounted for. Distinguishing characteristics: Caucasian female. Brown hair, brown eyes. Amber's ears are pierced. Her nickname is Ambi. Amber was last seen at approximately 6 p.m. on December 18, 1997 in her hometown of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Her mother spoke to her on the phone while she was at a friend's home and told her to come home. She left her friend's residence and was last seen riding her blue 10-speed bicycle in the 3000 block of Northwest 45th Street at the time. Amber was on her way to her home in the 3100 block of Northwest 39th Street. She never arrived and has never been heard from again. Amber's bicycle was discovered abandoned in Denniston Park in Oklahoma City on December 19, the day following her disappearance. The bike was located near Northwest 27th Street and Drexel Boulevard, which is 1 mile from her home. Amber's sweater, shoes, one sock and a ring were found along Drexel Boulevard and Northwest 12th Street on December 20. One of her shoes was a block away from the other one. Investigators stated that blood, hair, and fiber evidence was discovered near Amber's possessions. There were blue fibers on her sweater, as well as vomit mixed with possible ejaculate. There was a speck of blood on her shoe, but the blood spot was so small that authorities could not link it to any specific person. Authorities were able to form a partial DNA profile for an unknown man from the evidence on the sweater. Daniel John Smith, Amber's sister's common-law husband, was previously convicted of attempted kidnapping in 1995. He admitted that he assaulted a woman in Oklahoma City while he was intoxicated and tried to steal her car keys. The woman says he tried to rape her. Smith pleaded guilty and was sentenced to a 5-year deferred prison sentence and 4 months at a boot camp, where he earned excellent reviews. The police had been summoned to another of Amber's sister's homes in November 1997, approximately 1 month before the child disappeared. Her sister claimed that Smith hit her after she refused his sexual advances. He was given a citation by authorities but was not arrested. Smith was allegedly at Amber's residence when she called her mother to say she was returning home. He left the residence immediately afterwards and headed west, the same direction Amber was coming from. Smith was questioned about Amber on the day after her disappearance, and authorities wanted to interview him further, but he discovered hanged from a tree in at Raytrent Park in Del City, Oklahoma at 11:30 p.m. on December 22, 1997, 4 days after Amber was last seen. His death was ruled a suicide. Smith was not labeled as a suspect at the time. Authorities simply said they wanted to question him regarding Amber's case. However, both the police and Amber's family suspected he had knowledge of her disappearance. Amber's disappearance remains unsolved. She was a 4th grade student at James Monroe Elementary School at the time of her disappearance. Her loved ones stated she wasn't having any personal problems when she went missing, neither does she have a history as a runaway. One of Amber's sisters died in 2013, and her mother died in 2014. Foul play is suspected due to the circumstances involved in her case. Oklahoma City Police Department 405-297-1290. Ariana Day missing since September 11, 2018. Missing from Roanoke, Virginia. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female, race black, date of birth May 28, 2018. 5. Age 3 months old, height and weight 2 feet 0 inches, 14 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a pink onesie and pink socks. Distinguishing characteristics: African American female. Black hair, brown eyes. Ariana was last seen at her home in the 1100 block of Hanover Avenue in Roanoke, Virginia on September 11, 2018. Her mother, Jessica Day, stated she put her down to sleep, and when she came back an hour later to check on her, the baby was gone. She called the police at 11 p.m. When they arrived, they found no signs of forced entry, but the residence had been unlocked. The following day, police arrested Andrew Christopher Terry and charged him with illegal disposal of a body in Ariana's disappearance. A photo of Terry is posted with this case summary. Initially reported to be a cousin of Ariana's father, he is himself presumed to be her father. He was at Ariana's home on separate occasions the day she went missing, and had communication with her mother up until the police were called. Terry lived in Blacksburg, Virginia with his girlfriend of 16 years old and their 2 children, but for years he had also been seeing Jessica off and on. He'd known her since childhood. Jessica has 4 older children and had told him she did not want to be a mother again. He had repeatedly offered to take custody of Ariana, but had also suggested she place the baby for adoption. Although Ariana's paternity has not been established, Jessica had filed for custody of her daughter and child support from Terry. Jessica reported that around midday on the day of Ariana's disappearance, Terry came by her apartment, put the baby down for a nap and left for work. At 9:30 p.m., Jessica breastfed Ariana, then left the baby sleeping on her mother's bed. For the next half hour, she was in the kitchen, on the phone with Terry, at least once, and walking around the apartment. She returned to her bedroom at 10 p.m. and found her 6-year-old asleep on the bed, but Ariana was gone. Jessica smelled cigarette smoke in the bedroom and, suspecting Terry had been there, immediately called him and asked where he'd taken Ariana. He said he didn't have her. Until 11 p.m., Jessica spoke to Terry several times over the phone and on Facebook Messenger, at one point asking him, "Are you harming her or setting me up for murder?" At 11 o'clock, Jessica called the police. When police met Terry at Jessica's home after Ariana's disappearance, they noticed his pants were wet and appeared to be muddy. He offered several explanations for this, but after he was questioned for several hours and took a break for a nap, he stated he'd fallen down a slope after digging his daughter's grave. The brown stains on his pants were never tested and it's not clear whether they were mud. Terry gave a very different account of the crucial hours around Ariana's disappearance. He said he went back to Jessica's apartment after he finished work, and Jessica met him out front with Ariana and told him to take her. He said Ariana had a slight cut and general swelling on her face. He put the baby in his lap and drove towards Blacksburg, and 20 or 30 minutes into the drive, Ariana simply stopped breathing. He said he tried to revive her and failed, and he didn't seek medical attention for the baby because he was scared. Instead, Terry stated he took exit 128 off Interstate 81 in Ironto, Virginia, and continued driving towards Blacksburg. Somewhere along the way, he stopped and dug a shallow grave for Ariana with his hands, on a bank near the railroad tracks and the intersection of Cedar Run Road and Jennell Road. He covered her body with leaves. On the late afternoon of September 12, Terry took police to the location, but dogs turned up no sign of the baby or a gravesite. As Terry had stated, the grave was so shallow that the wind might have uncovered Ariana's body. Police asked if he'd fabricated his story. He said he was telling the truth and "I swear to you she's over there somewhere." Later that day, he said recanted, saying he had only brought police to the spot to show she wasn't there. When the police questioned him again on September 13, Terry returned to his story about Ariana dying in his car and him burying her. Further searches turned up no evidence to support the story. However, Terry was tried for felony illegal disposal of a body in September 2019, a year after Ariana's disappearance. Jessica testified for the defense. She admitted she'd given some false statements to police about her daughter's disappearance and that she suffered from memory lapses. At various times she said Ariana had smothered after falling asleep during breastfeeding, or that she was kidnapped by an adoption agency, or that she had sold her. She admitted none of those statements were true. Jessica also admitted she had called Terry's defense attorney in 2019 to say Ariana was alive and well, and that she had called Terry and asked, "Should I wait until court to say I gave her to your cousin?" She suggested Ariana may have been injured by falling from her carrier, and that the true story was that Terry had taken her away. Location data from Terry's cellular phone tracked his route from Roanoke to Blacksburg that night. He bought cigarettes and a lighter at a convenience store before going to Jessica's home. The data showed a pause around the intersection of Jennell Road and Cedar Run Road for 6 minutes, and the prosecution said that during this time, Terry buried Ariana. Terry's defense attorney questioned whether the baby had actually died. After hours of deliberation, the jury was unable to reach a verdict. Terry will have to be tried again. Although police believe Ariana is deceased, they are not sure of the circumstances of her death and both parents remain persons of interest. Her case remains unsolved, but foul play is suspected due to the circumstances involved. Roanoke Police Department 540-853-5959. Zayla Walker missing since August 22, 2018. Missing from North Las Vegas, Nevada. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female, race black, date of birth October 12, 2015, age 2 years old, height and weight 2 feet 0 inches, 27 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: pajamas and thin gold chain bracelet with a dangling end. Carrying a stuffed tiger. Photos of the bracelet and a similar stuffed tiger are posted with this case. Summary: distinguishing characteristics: African American female. Black hair, brown eyes. Zayla's ears are pierced. Her nickname is Zay, pronounced Zay. Zayla was last seen in North Las Vegas, Nevada on August 22, 2018. She lived with her mother, Lakia Walker, and maternal grandmother, Carla Richardson, in the 4600 block of Mission Cantina Avenue at the time of her disappearance. Richardson reported Lakia, Zayla, and Zayla's father, Ricky Beasley, missing on August 25. By then, Richardson hadn't seen Zayla in nearly 2 weeks. Lakia had left Zayla with Beasley on August 15 while she went on a job interview, and Beasley refused to return the child later. Lakia called 911 to try to get Zayla back, and begged Beasley in text messages to return Zayla, but her daughter was not returned to her. Beasley said he only give Zayla back if Lakia paid him $13,000, and Lakia promised to raise the money. During that time period, Lakia told her mother Beasley had taken Zayla to California to visit a relative. Richardson last saw her daughter when she left in a hurry on August 22, saying, "I'll be right back." According to Beasley's mother, late on August 21 she heard a loud thud coming from his bedroom that woke her up. She ran into the hallway and saw Beasley carrying Zayla, who was crying. Beasley said he'd gotten angry and thrown a cot against the wall after Zayla wet herself. He took the child into the bathroom to clean her off. The next day, Zayla and her parents disappeared. Photos of Beasley and Lakia are posted with this case summary. The couple went on an unannounced trip, leaving behind their cellular phones, Lakia's wallet and her car. During their trip up and down the state of California and then east across the country, passing through New Mexico, Texas, Illinois, West Virginia, and Tennessee, Lakia later stated they slept in the car at highway rest stops and never stayed in one place for long. By September 17, the pair had run out of money, so they returned to North Las Vegas to get Lakia's identification and credit cards. Lakia met with one of her cousins there, but dropped out of sight again after her cousin asked about Zayla. They then traveled across the border into Tijuana, Mexico, and spent 2 days there, before going back to California. San Diego police questioned Lakia and Beasley at the time and asked about the missing persons report, but they said they were in no danger and that Zayla was with Beasley's relatives. On November 17, Lakia and Beasley were detained in Houston, Texas in November, when police ran their names at a traffic stop and learned they, and their daughter, had been reported missing. Zayla wasn't with them at the time and both her parents said they hadn't seen her in several months. Lakia initially said Zayla was staying with Beasley's relatives. Lakia was released after 48 hours, but Beasley was booked for possession of a stolen vehicle. He was driving his mother's car, which he had taken without permission. Beasley and Lakia returned to North Las Vegas after getting out of jail in Texas and they were detained by police there in December. Lakia was released, but Beasley was arrested again on the stolen vehicle charge. He was subsequently jailed on charges of first-degree child abuse/neglect and kidnapping in Zayla's disappearance. The police interviewed Lakia several times, and she failed a polygraph test. She claimed Zayla was with various other people, including Beasley's ex-girlfriend, his brother, and his mother. The information she provided led detectives to believe that Zayla was not alive. Beasley's story to police changed multiple times as well. At one point he said Zayla was with Lakia, and another time he said she was with his own mother. In a phone conversation with Beasley while he was in jail, Lakia said, "You always say nobody, no crime." A check of the couple's phones, which they left behind in North Las Vegas, showed Beasley had performed Google searches on August 21 about how to stop seizures in children, including whether marijuana would help. He went to a marijuana dispensary that day and purchased some. Investigators were able to confirm that no one in Zayla's mother's or father's family ever had custody of her after her disappearance in August, and that her parents never reached out to anyone about her. Investigators believe Zayla suffered a traumatic injury at the time of her disappearance and died as a result, and that her parents disposed of her body, then went on the run. Lakia had begged to be with Zayla after Beasley took her in mid-August and refused to return her, but after August 23 she suddenly stopped showing any concern about her daughter's whereabouts or well-being. She didn't even try to call or text Zayla on the child's 3rd birthday, or send her a card or present. Although Beasley's mother stated she normally kept her car clean, Lakia told police that while she and Beasley were traveling around the country after Zayla's disappearance, there was a terrible smell coming from the car's trunk, like rotten meat. She and Beasley tried to get rid of the odor by vacuuming the trunk and cleaning it with lemon-scented ammonia. Police stated the odor Lakia described is consistent with decaying human remains. In March 2019, Beasley, who was still in jail on the other charges, was charged with murder in his daughter's disappearance, and Lakia was arrested on the same charges. After her arrest, she asked police, "So you all are telling me that you found Zayla?" The couple is awaiting trial for the murder. Authorities don't know the whereabouts of Zayla's body, but foul play is suspected in her case due to the circumstances involved. North Las Vegas Police Department 702-633-9111. Vanessa Morales missing since November 29, 2019. Missing from Ansonia, Connecticut. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female. Race: white. Date of birth: September 7, 2018. 5. Age: 1 year old. Height and weight: 2 feet 0 inches, 17 pounds. Distinguishing characteristics: Caucasian female. Brown hair, brown eyes. Vanessa was last seen in Ansonia, Connecticut on November 29, 2019. She lived with her mother, Christine Holloway, on Myrtle Street. On December 2, Christine didn't show up for work and no one was able to get in touch with her. The police were sent to Christine's home on Myrtle Avenue to do a welfare check, and found her body in the bathtub. She'd been beaten to death. There was no sign of Vanessa and she has never been heard from again. Vanessa's father, Jose Morales, was dating Christine at the time of her death. Photos of Jose and Christine are posted with this case summary. He was arrested for an unrelated firearms charge on December 3, the day after Christine's body was found. Within 2 weeks he'd been named as a suspect in Christine's murder, and in February he was charged with murder and evidence tampering in her case. He has not been charged in connection with his daughter's disappearance. However, Jose is the last person known to have been with Vanessa. She wasn't with him at the time of his arrest and he denies any involvement in her case or in Christine's death. He told investigators he was in the bathroom at the Myrtle Avenue residence when he looked out the window and saw 2 men running towards the front door. Jose said he was under the influence of the drug PCP at the time, and that he tried to call 911, but was punched in the face and knocked out. The next thing he remembered was driving to his residence in New Haven, Connecticut. There was a call placed to 911 from Jose's phone at 1:52 p.m. on December 1. It pinged off a Tower 1 street over from Christine's house. During the call, a slurred male voice said Myrtle Avenue but didn't give an exact address even after the dispatcher asked multiple times. When the audio recording was enhanced, a female voice could be heard in the background saying, "Stop, hang up. Who are you calling?" The call was disconnected a short time later. According to neighbors, Jose left Christine's home only about half an hour before the police arrived to check on her welfare and found her body. A day earlier, Jose's car had been seen on video surveillance footage near a clothing donation bin in Derby, Connecticut. Workers sorting items in the bin found several blood-stained items, including a puzzle, a man's shirt and a children's book. The blood was Christine's. Some of Vanessa's belongings were never found, including a pink, purple, green, and blue teething keyring, a white blanket with multicolored polka dots, a heather gray Eddie Bauer First Adventure backpack-style diaper bag, a black Graco car seat. Photos of these items are posted with this case summary. Christine's phone, an iPhone 8 with a black case, is also missing. It last pinged in the Naugatuck, Connecticut area. Authorities believe Vanessa may still be alive and still somewhere in Connecticut. Her father hasn't provided any information on her disappearance or Christine's murder. He is awaiting trial in Christine's death. Vanessa's case remains unsolved. Ansonia Police Department 203-735-1885. Lakia was released after 48 hours, but Beasley was booked for possession of a stolen vehicle. He was driving his mother's car, which he had taken without permission. Beasley and Lakia returned to North Las Vegas after getting out of jail in Texas and they were detained by police there in December. Lakia was released, but Beasley was arrested again on the stolen vehicle charge. He was subsequently jailed on charges of first-degree child abuse/neglect and kidnapping in Zayla's disappearance. The police interviewed Lakia several times, and she failed a polygraph test. She claimed Zayla was with various other people, including Beasley's ex-girlfriend, his brother, and his mother. The information she provided led detectives to believe that Zayla was not alive. Beasley's story to police changed multiple times as well. At one point he said Zayla was with Lakia, and another time he said she was with his own mother. In a phone conversation with Beasley while he was in jail, Lakia said, "You always say nobody, no crime. A check of the couple's phones, which they left behind in North Las Vegas, showed Beasley had performed Google searches on August 21 about how to stop seizures in children, including whether marijuana would help. He went to a marijuana dispensary that day and purchased some. Investigators were able to confirm that no one in Zayla's mother's or father's family ever had custody of her after her disappearance in August, and that her parents never reached out to anyone about her. Investigators believe Zayla suffered a traumatic injury at the time of her disappearance and died as a result, and that her parents disposed of her body, then went on the run. Lakeia had begged to be with Zayla after Beasley took her in mid-August and refused to return her, but after August 23 she suddenly stopped showing any concern about her daughter's whereabouts or well-being. She didn't even try to call or text Zayla on the child's third birthday, or send her a card or present. Although Beasley's mother stated she normally kept her car clean, Lakeia told police that while she and Beasley were traveling around the country after Zayla's disappearance, there was a terrible smell coming from the car's trunk, like rotten meat. She and Beasley tried to get rid of the odor by vacuuming the trunk and cleaning it with lemon-scented ammonia. Police stated the odor Lakeia described is consistent with decaying human remains. In March 2019, Beasley, who was still in jail on the other charges, was charged with murder in his daughter's disappearance, and Lakeia was arrested on the same charges. After her arrest, she asked police, "So you all are telling me that you found Zayla?" The couple is awaiting trial for the murder. Authorities don't know the whereabouts of Zayla's body, but foul play is suspected in her case due to the circumstances involved. North Las Vegas Police Department 702-633-9111. Myra Rena Lewis missing since March 1, 2014. Missing from Camden, Mississippi. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female. Race: black. Date of birth: November 30, 2011. 12. Age: 2 years old. Height and weight: 2 feet 10 inches, 27 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a turquoise sweater with the image of a bear on the front, off-white or khaki pants, and pink sneakers. Distinguishing characteristics: African American female. Black hair, brown eyes. Myra was last seen playing outside her home on Mount Pilgrim Road in Camden, Mississippi between 10:30 and 11 a.m. on March 1, 2014. Her mother left to go to the grocery store and told Myra and her sisters to go inside the house, where their father was. Each parent thought Myra was with the other one, so no one realized she was missing until 3 p.m. After looking for her themselves for an hour, Myra's parents called the police. An extensive search of the area turned up no sign of the child. Little information is available in her case. Madison County Sheriff's Office 601-859-2345. Mississippi Highway Patrol 855-642-5378. Ryan D. Larson missing since May 17, 2021. Missing from La Vista, Nebraska. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: male. Race: white. Date of birth: June 8, 2009. 14. Age: 11 years old. Height and weight: 5 feet 8 inches, 125 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a black and gray zippered hooded sweatshirt or sweat jacket with orange lining inside the hood, an Old Navy shirt, blue jeans, and black New Balance sneakers. Carrying a polka dot umbrella which was later found. A photo of Ryan in the sweatshirt is posted with this case summary. Medical conditions: Ryan has autism, Tourette's syndrome, and epilepsy, and needs medication which he doesn't have with him. Although he's considered high-functioning, he is usually nonverbal with strangers, and he has a history of running and hiding in small places. Distinguishing characteristics: Caucasian male. Brown hair, hazel eyes. Ryan was last seen in La Vista, Nebraska on May 17, 2021. He was a 6th grader at La Vista West Elementary School. After becoming frustrated with a math problem, Ryan went to another room to be by himself and calm down. An adult was supposed to be supervising him, but one supervisor had to leave the room and their replacement was late. During the time he was not supervised, between 11:55 a.m. and 12:05 p.m., Ryan left the school campus. At 12:27 p.m., the school notified his mother that he was missing. At 12:29 p.m. the school called 911, and police arrived 5 minutes later to begin a search. A neighbor saw Ryan at 1:45 p.m. at Southfield Apartments, about 2 blocks from his school on 84th Street and Harrison Street. He was holding his umbrella at the time. Ryan lived at the apartment complex with his mother and one older sister, but he couldn't have gone inside his apartment after leaving school because he didn't have the key. He has never been heard from again. More than 6 weeks later, his umbrella was found near a dumpster behind Southfield Apartments. This is the same place where he was last seen on the day of his disappearance. Due to his autism, Ryan has a history of running away and hiding. The police referred to him as the king of hide-and-seek. Due to his habit of running, he had been enrolled in Project Lifesaver, which equips vulnerable people with a GPS tracking bracelet so they can be found if they go missing. However, Ryan repeatedly cut off the tracker and eventually his mother stopped making him wear it. In spite of his history, Ryan has never been gone this long before. He would usually be located nearby a short time after running away. His family describes him as a happy boy who enjoyed helping others, such as his school janitor. His father was never part of his life, but he has 2 other older sisters who were grown and out of the family home by the time of his disappearance. Prior to his disappearance, Ryan had searched online for things such as how to hide underground, how to avoid being spotted and how to hide from police. Extensive searches have turned up no indication of his whereabouts. In early 2023, Ryan's mother petitioned the court to have him declared legally dead, arguing it was unlikely he was still alive due to his autism and other medical issues. She stated she intended to file a claim against the Papillion La Vista Public School District for Ryan's wrongful death. However, in April of that year a judge threw out her petition to declare him dead, saying there wasn't enough evidence to conclude Ryan was deceased. Under Nebraska state law, a person is presumed dead if they have been missing without explanation for 5 years. If Ryan is not found by May 2026, his mother can have him declared dead at that time. His case remains unsolved. La Vista Police Department 402-331-1582. Tari Latresa Price missing since June 11, 2020. Missing from Gretna, Nebraska. Classification: lost/injured. Missing sex: female. Race: biracial, black, white. Date of birth: March 29, 2013. 10. Age: 7 years old. Height and weight: 4 feet 0 inches, 70 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a pink and white bathing suit, possibly holding a life jacket. Distinguishing characteristics: biracial, African American/Caucasian, female. Black hair, brown eyes. Tari's nickname is Juicy. Tari was last seen at the Scram Park State Recreation Area in Gretna, Nebraska on June 11, 2020. She was playing with her mother, a dog, and 2 older children on a sandbar in the Platte River. Tari got separated from the others and was swept away by the current. She was last seen about a mile downstream. Sarpy County Sheriff's Office. 402-593-4111. Madalena Kojokari missing since November 21, 2022. Missing from Cornelius, North Carolina. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female. Race: white. Date of birth: April 11, 2011. 12. Age: 11 years old. Height and weight: 4 feet 11 inches, 90 pounds. Clothing/jewelry description: a jacket, a white t-shirt, jeans and pink, purple, and white Adidas shoes. Distinguishing characteristics: Caucasian female. Brown hair, brown eyes. Madalena was last seen on surveillance video getting off the school bus outside her home in Cornelius, North Carolina at 4:49 p.m. on November 21, 2022. Her mother, Diana Kojokari, said she last saw her at around noon on November 22, but later changed her story and said the last time she saw her daughter was at 10 p.m. on November 23, when the child went to bed. That evening, Madalena's stepfather, Christopher Palmiter, argued with Diana. On November 23, according to him, or 24, according to Diana, he left town and drove to Michigan to pick up items from his family's home there. He later told police he had not seen Madalena for about a week prior to his trip to Michigan. According to the couple, when Christopher returned home from Michigan on November 26, he asked Diana where Madalena was and she said she didn't know, and he told her he didn't know either. Neither of them reported Madalena missing at the time, but each accused the other one of hiding her. In early December, Diana made a trip to the Appalachian Mountains in Madison County, North Carolina, supposedly to look for Madalena. On December 12, the school resource officer and 6th grade school counselor from Bailey Middle School visited Madalena's home to find out why she had not been attending school. No one answered the door and they left a truancy information packet. The counselor later called Diana and asked to have a meeting about Madaleina's truancy on December 15, and Diana agreed to take her daughter and meet the officer at school. She arrived at the meeting without Madalena and said she hadn't seen her daughter since November 22. Madalena was finally reported missing at that time. When Diana was asked why she had not reported her daughter's disappearance earlier, she said she feared her husband put the family in danger. The FBI searched the family's home and discovered the child's backpack and some of her clothing was missing, and part of the kitchen area was blocked off with plywood. On December 17, both Diana and Christopher were arrested for failure to report the disappearance of a child. They pleaded not guilty and are both awaiting trial in that case. Photos of them are posted with this case summary. Diana and her mother, Rodica Kojokari, have accused Christopher of selling Madalena to child traffickers for $5 million. Rodica claimed that Christopher had drugged Diana and Madalena's juice and then took Madalena from the home and gave her over to traffickers while she was unconscious. She suggested Madalena might have had plastic surgery to alter her appearance and make her harder to find. Christopher has said he does not know Madalena's whereabouts but thinks Diana is hiding her somewhere and that she is alive and safe. Earlier in 2022, Diana had asked a distant relative to help smuggle her and Madalena away from Palmyra. Authorities stated there was extensive communication between Diana and this relative on December 2, and multiple calls to phone numbers belonging to unidentified targets involved in ongoing wiretap drug/narcotic trafficking investigations. Authorities have said they believe Madalena may still be alive, but the circumstances of her disappearance are unclear. Her case remains unsolved. Cornelius Police Department 704-892-1363. Ashani Karen Creighton missing since March 21, 1997. Missing from Orlando, Florida. Classification: endangered. Missing sex: female, race black, date of birth August 16, 1992, 31, age 4 years old, height and weight 4 feet 0 inches, 50 pounds. Distinguishing characteristics: African American female. Black hair, brown eyes. Ashani's ears are pierced. She may be known by her middle name, Karen, or use the first name Ashanti. Ashani was last seen on March 21, 1997 in their hometown of Orlando, Florida. She was initially abducted by her non-custodial grandparents, Ernest S. Jackson and Kaya Jackson, also known as Ernest and Abiola Anderson, in March 1997. Photographs of them are posted with this case summary. Her mother had sent her to visit them and they refused to return her. The Jacksons moved from Orlando to Tulsa, Oklahoma in August 1998, with their 4 children. The last confirmed sighting of Ashani took place at around that time. Ashani's grandparents were arrested for child abuse charges in October 2000 in Oklahoma. The charges were about the abuse of their 8-year-old son in 1988 and are not related to Ashani's case. The Jacksons were charged in 1988 after the child ran away from home and wandered into a Teaneck, New Jersey restaurant, disoriented and covered in burns and other injuries. He stated both of his parents beat him and at one point his mother refused to let him eat for 15 days straight, then beat him with a belt after she caught him climbing out the window to take fruit from a tree. He had scars all over his body, including on his chest, his shoulders, his abdomen, his collarbone, his knees, and 20 to 30 on each hand. His parents skipped bail and fled, and weren't caught until 2000. The Jacksons' children were located in Oklahoma when Ernest and Kaya were arrested, but Ashani was not with them at the time of their arrest and she has not been seen again. Kaya was convicted on the charges and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Ernest's jury failed to reach a verdict at his first trial and he was acquitted the second time, but in 2002 he was convicted of aggravated assault and child endangerment involving another child in New Jersey in the 1980s and sentenced to 12 years in prison. He was released from prison in 2009. Ashani's grandparents are the prime suspects in her disappearance. Investigators believe she was murdered in Florida in approximately 1999, and her body was taken to Oklahoma and buried in the Tulsa area. The Jacksons have refused to be interviewed regarding Ashani's case and have never been charged in connection with it. Her case remains unsolved. Orange County Sheriff's Office 407-836-4357.
Yeah. Everybody knows that I'm breaking down. Everybody knows I ain't faking now. Everybody knows my heart's vacant now. Yeah, she hates me now, I made mistakes but now I don't ever wanna be alone. I don't really ever feel at home. On my own, in the zone, that's the only way I know. Feeling low, about to blow back up. I won't ever let the doubt creep in. Gotta pop a couple more aspirin. I don't think I'll ever let you in. Easier to break it off best friends. I don't really understand myself. I don't really understand, need help. I don't wanna be left on the shelf. Couldn't even hear me if I yelled. It's so cold outside, I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside, I'm alone.